everyone. Welcome back to the Ambitious Groomer Live. We're chatting with Mary Oquendo today. Don't mind my background. I'm at work. I have continuing education going on. Pulled in Melissa Jepson, and she's doing one-on-one training with my employees today. So forgot to put it on my calendar, and I had Mary booked, and I wasn't about to not do this because I love Mary's topic for today, which is her disaster planning. Anyone who knows you, Mary, in the industry knows that this is a passion of yours. So, yeah.
I've been trying to teach emergency and disaster planning probably since 2010 or something like that.
Okay.
All right. So I've been teaching this for a while. So anyway, I think part of the problem is that sometimes owners don't realize why it is so important. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say that something happens at your facility and first responders come. The responsibility of the first responders is only to people. It is not to the animals in your care. In fact, most of them will not make any real effort. I mean, other than like if the pet is right there in front of them, they'll try to get it out. But that's not their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's your responsibility as a pet owner. All right. And if you think it can't happen to you, okay. So here in the state of Washington, boarding facility has a couple of locations. So they had a fire like February of last year or possibly the year before. And they got very lucky in which no animals were killed. Everybody got out fine. And at that point, if I was the business owner, I would think, man, I got really lucky. Maybe they didn't have a plan. They totally winged it. Okay. But they have other facilities. September that same year, they had another fire at another one of their facilities, and they lost 3 pets.
Oh, that's horrible. Right. And that's every business owner's worst nightmare.
It is the worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
But when something happens, you don't have a lot of time.
No.
You could be in a strip mall, and the dry cleaner 2 stores down from you has a fire. Okay. Now you have to get out. It's Christmas this time of year. I'm betting a lot of facilities got a lot of pets in their facility. Yep. Are you prepared to get all of those animals out of your facility while making it safe for your employees?
It's a huge undertaking. Like I mean, we have some systems in place. I'm not going to lie. I slack in this aspect, and I know I need to make it a priority, but I fall into that. It's not that I think it won't happen to me. It just doesn't have a time limit, right? It's just there's not a sense of urgency to do it because it's just in case.
Yeah, it's just in case.
Just in case.
And so for anyone who say, well, I've been in business for X amount of years and it's never happened to me, nor has it ever happened to anybody I know, I'm going to do a little story for you. All right. You tell me how safe this is. Okay. So I don't know. I'm like 15, 12. My mother, back in the day when she used to send her kids to the supermarket to pick up cigarettes, beer for my father, head over to the liquor store to get my father a bottle of whiskey.
Right.
All as like a 12-year-old.
Right. Oh,
okay.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, the path between my house and the A&P was actually a straight line. Okay.
Okay.
However, I had to cross over a road, Main Road, then the train tracks, and then the Sawmill River Parkway, and then the Sawmill Creek.
Okay. Uphill both ways.
Well, in both directions. Okay. If I did that, it saved me probably a half hour walking each way. Okay. Uh-huh. I never got hit by a car crossing the Sawmill Parkway. Nor was I ever bitten by a cottonmouth that were in the Sawmill River the river there, the Sawmill River. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, just because I never was hit by a car or bit by a cottonmouth, does that mean that's perfectly safe to do, and that I would say, hey, cross that highway? Right. Because it's never happened to me.
Uh-huh.
Or anyone that I knew.
Right.
It doesn't mean that it was a safe thing to do.
Correct.
All right.
Well, and I mean, there's so many things that come out of this, right? So I guess where did your passion come from? I don't think I know any of that. Like, was it because of that fire story, or was
No,
it
this
something?
let's go back. And I think what really what started the flame was actually 9/11.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So my husband was home from work that day. Otherwise, he would have been part of the emergency response to the Twin Towers.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But he was home, and it was it was horrific, and there were people who just didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think one of the images, there's a couple images burned in my mind. Okay. One of the images is a photographer took a picture of people crossing over one of the bridges to get to Brooklyn. I think it was, I'm not sure which bridge it was, but it was from Manhattan to Brooklyn. It's probably the Brooklyn Bridge. I don't know. And just the mass exodus, people walking covered in soot,
Yeah.
crossing over that bridge. Okay. How much time did anybody have to get out of that building? If they didn't, because most people didn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Something happened. It's in the building you're in, so you're not necessarily watching the news, knowing exactly what is going on. You just need to know you have to leave.
Right.
Okay. So I think that was probably the first time that actually entered my brain that, you know what, maybe there should be some sort of plan involved. I don't know. For all I know, they did have plans, but um, so that was probably the first thing. Um, I have I guess over the years, watched things that you wouldn't think happen. Okay. So probably the second thing that sort of solidified it was that, so I lived in Danbury, Connecticut. The next town over was New Fairfield, and I was like right on the border. So it was a lot of times it was easier, faster for me to do any kind of shopping or banking in New Fairfield because that was closer to my house. So anyway, there's a strip mall right there, and there's a bank, and there's nothing special about the strip mall. It's like any strip mall that you would find in millions of cities across the country. Okay, they had to erect a barrier in front of the lobby window because until they did that, every year I was there, somebody drove into the lobby.
If you haven't had someone drive through your building, it is crazy. Like, I haven't had it done personally, but we had someone do it. The last facility that we were at, the last location, like they could have actually died. They went right in between. And my friend, 2 months ago, had someone, she sent me she has the whole video of a car coming through. It's crazy. Like, it's scary.
It is, and then you don't have much time to leave
No.
because now that that vehicle is in your lobby, okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's structural damage to the building. That building can collapse.
Yep.
Okay, how fast can you get out of your building? If you think at your facility right now, pick one of them, and if someone came into the lobby, drove into the lobby, how fast could you get the people, barring no injuries?
Mm-hmm.
How fast could you get the animals and the people out of that building?
I don't know. I've never tried. Yeah.
All right. So that
Not
might be
knowing.
maybe the first step is on a day that you're off, bring in your own pets, not clients, put the
Mm-hmm.
pet in the cage banks and get the timer out. And these, okay, are going to be pets, you know. How fast can you get out of the building and get those pets into a car or something?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Or any kind of secure area.
Yeah, no, that's a really good, like, a tester. They do it in schools. They have your kids do it, like
Oh, they
the
do
the
it.
fire drills, right? Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger? I think it was called Kindergarten Cop.
Yes, it's been a while since I saw it, but yes, I remember.
All right, so they did the fire drill, and all the other grades who were very, very used to doing this all lined up nice and easily, and him and his kindergartners were all over the place.
Yes. Hmm.
And that's the difference. That scene right there, that's the difference between being prepared and not being prepared.
Yeah. Yep. We and I'll even up this to modern day. I ended up, when Dylan was in kindergarten, I was the person who was silly and signed up to volunteer and help the teacher, and I didn't realize that was like a very big commitment. But I would go on one day where I'm like, oh, I didn't know what I was signing up for. But it was one day a week. I think it was my day off on Monday from like 12 to 1 or maybe 12 to 2, and I would help the teacher grade or with the kids. And the one time I went in there, they had told me, they're like, we're about to do an active shooter drill. So this is, you can go to the room, but this is what's going to happen. You're going to hear, and then just follow the teacher. And I said, okay, not thinking too much of it. And his school, all the kindergarten classrooms had doors out the back to their little playground.
Right.
So they were taught to go running out. And obviously, when you left, she would collect all the kids and go outside. When we got outside, they were telling them, if this was real, you're going to run all the way to the woods. Like, we're not stopping. You're going to run if it's real. And oh my goodness, I have to say, I'm very appreciative that they do it. But like all these little kindergartners, like 5-year-olds, are crying. Like, you could tell it was so heavy. And I couldn't imagine being a teacher doing this all the time, but I'm really thankful that they do, because anything can happen, but they have to get over that, the mental side of watching these kids. But these poor kindergartners were so scared, and they didn't know why, right? They don't know what an active shooter drill is. They just know that they were supposed to go outside, and if there's a bad person, they keep running. But it is that that training that helps the kids.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's that, because what happens during any given emergency is your body begins to dump endorphins like adrenaline into your body. And adrenaline is responsible for fight, flight, or freeze. And a lot of people think, well, you know what, I'll fight. And you're like, no, you don't get to decide that.
Mm-mm.
Your body decides what it is you're going to do, whether you fight, you run, or you just simply freeze in place.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem with adrenaline. And the only way to dissipate adrenaline is either through movement and practice, so that your brain is already primed. Okay.
Right.
So that, and it's one of the reasons why I'm such a huge proponent of hands-on first aid training. Okay. Because even when your body begins to dump those endorphins into it, okay. And all right, and I'll use an example of Marcus. Marcus was my miniature pinscher who had a heart attack. And it's my dog. So what's my first reaction going to be to my dog having a heart attack? It's going to dump adrenaline in it. But the second I put my hand on my dog, all right, I started doing CPR, because my body remembered what to do. Even if my brain is all over the place, my body remembered what to do. It is why first responders practice all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just having that practice, right? So I did pet tech. I actually was an instructor years ago. I was like one of the first classes of instructors. I don't remember. He had just started it. So I like studied under Tom, and yeah, it was really cool. But I did learn so much and all those things because of that. But working at the vet clinic, being a vet groomer, you see all of these things that you never think could happen ever. Like, I'm very paranoid when it comes to handling animals and having animals in my care, because I saw a lot of things, but it really trained me to be able to handle things in my own business as well. I didn't realize how much it trained me until I had my own employees who didn't have that vet clinic background. Because when I was at the vet clinic and I had people underneath me and I was in charge of them, we all worked at the vet clinic. So we learned all these things. We learned handling. We learned what to look for. We learned sedated animals and all these different scenarios. And then when I had my own employees that had never had that background, I didn't realize how much I learned and how much I can pass down to everybody. So a dog that walks in that starts to have a seizure because they're overstimulated, I know how to handle that. Where the, without CPR training and actually doing the things hands-on, you're not going to have that knowledge.
No, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give a shout out to Barkley right now, because finally my whining paid off.
You wore them down, Mary. You wore them
I
down.
wore them down. Okay. So right now, what is scheduled at the Pasadena show and the Tacoma show are 2 of the 4-hour emergency disaster planning classes. At the Rocky Mountain in Colorado, and what will be the Rocky Mountain in Arizona show in, I think it's the end of October, beginning of November.
Yes.
That will also have, so the West Coast, we got pretty well covered as far as doing the emergency and disaster planning class. There is a possibility that ISCC might pick it up with Kate Klassen. So Kate and I designed this program. So whether you take the class from me, you take the class from Kate, it's the same class.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got to get this class now over on the East.
Well, let's back up though. So this year, even though you're just coming out with your training and your education side, you had, which show did you bring out your book? So you have a book, and yes. I love your book. And I'm going to admit I've slept on it.
I have 2 versions of this book.
Okay.
This is the book you can get online. Mm-hmm. Okay. Amazon has it. You can get it off of my website. But the original book is this one.
Yes, that's the one I have.
This is a little difficult to get done. Okay. It's expensive to ship, but I still have a couple copies left. And I will bring them to a trade show. So whatever I have left of that will come to the Tacoma show with me. Okay. I'm not going to bring it to the Pasadena show. Pet Edge will have this at the Pasadena show.
Now, is it the same thing?
It's the same thing.
Just not in your binder.
It's just not in a binder.
Okay. So I have to throw this out there. I loved it when I saw it. I still love it for business owners all around. I think every salon should have it, whether you're watching this and you're an employee. I bring it to your employer. It is so simple. You've made it really easy to fill out.
Yep. You've
made it really easy to think about some of the disasters that some people may not even think about.
Yep.
Which I love. You put in like contacts. So go ahead and tell them what all's in there and stuff.
Okay. So it's in the template. First of all, it starts off with business, the business side of things, who your employees are, what are their emergency contacts. Okay. So for example, so Denise, you have a pretty full crew. If one of your clients had a medical emergency, who is their emergency contact? Do you know that?
As far as clients or employees?
Employees.
I do, because we actually have them fill out a sheet, and we update that with every new hire. They put 2 emergency contacts, and we have them at each phone.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So and in the computer.
Also, what are their needs? Now, here's the thing. There's only 2 scenarios you're going to have. Regardless of what the situation is, there's 2 scenarios, okay? Either you're leaving or you're staying. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, now here's the thing. You cannot make an employee help you during an emergency situation, okay? Some people have other issues that are more important to them. They might have kids in school. They might have to go pick up their kids. They might have care of a significant other or a parent. That's their priority. And you should need to know that, not as a means to say, well, I'm going to punish you for it. But I know if there is an evacuation, your concern is to get to the school to pick up your kids, not to get clients' pets out of my business.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's fair. You need to be aware of that. So you need to know whether or not you can count on them in the event of something happening. All right. Your insurance. All right. Don't assume you have insurance that's going to cover what you think it's going to cover.
Correct. I learned the hard way.
Okay. For example, like I'm here in Washington, so our issues here, this particular part of the country, this part of Washington, okay, anything along the coast, earthquakes and tsunamis, that's not covered under my regular insurance. Those are policies that I had to add to it. All right. Fortunately for me, tsunami damage is considered flood damage. And the tsunami line, literally, Denise, when I tell you, the tsunami line ends 20 feet in front of my property line.
Oh,
Yes, it puts me in a non-flood zone. I can get flood insurance a lot cheaper
yes.
if that line moves as much as 20 feet into my property line.
Right.
Okay. You're going to have to weigh pros and cons with it because in some places, like in Florida, you may not be able to even get flood insurance. And if you can get flood insurance, it may be so outrageously expensive. But you need to have conversations with your insurance agent. Know if you want to know what the problems that could face your business, the person who knows that is the insurance specialist at the insurance company.
Yes.
They know exactly what the problems are and whether or not you're covered for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So take that 20 minutes and have that phone call, not with your agent, not your insurance agent, the person at the insurance, whatever insurance company you have, Allstate, Geico, not governors, I'm sorry, Travelers, any of the actual insurance companies, call them up, spend 20 minutes on the phone with them, go over your policy. All right. Know what the policy covers you in the event of the pets as well. Okay. Because if a pet dies on you during let's say a hurricane and you don't have that hurricane insurance, then you may not have insurance to cover the lives of those pets in your business either.
Right. And it's really important to say that your agent doesn't know the ins and the outs of everything. They think they do. They think they're knowledgeable, but there are so many different things that can go wrong. I learned that the hard way with Animal Bailey and not having it, and what my agent thought was covered, and I was a new business owner. I didn't know any better. I didn't do my due diligence to check into everything, and I just blindly said, "Okay, thanks for giving me what I need." Until I had a dog who freak accident, was jumping. We don't even know what she did, but like sliced her leg on something. And she had to have surgery, which then turned into ACL surgery. And I had no coverage. We did figure out one aspect was it said up to $10,000. Well, it was $1,000 per 10 cases.
Yep.
And I'm like, I learned a lot at this experience. When I tell people I did the things wrong, this was one of them.
Yeah.
That was one of the things I did wrong. But yeah, and my insurance agent felt so bad because he didn't know. He thought we were covered. He was a wonderful human being. This wasn't they lied to us or just didn't know. He thought we were covered.
All right. So yeah, and understand the insurance, when you have a claim and they hook you up with somebody, the adjuster, their job, understand what the adjuster's job really is. Okay. To find a way to deny your claim.
Yep.
Okay. So make sure you know exactly what your coverage is. Any important documents, scan them. I love Google Drive. I love Google Drive for everything. Important papers, scanned, upload to the drive. Make sure you have good, you don't use the same password. All right. But that's also another issue. That's cybersecurity.
Mm-hmm.
You know what your cybersecurity coverage is in your insurance policy.
Yep.
Okay. Because that's a threat.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a threat 30 years ago. It's a threat today.
And making sure what your coverage per your lease. What does your landlord need and what do you need? And I go as far as being extra covered because I don't trust other things. My friend who the car went through the building, I just saw her yesterday. So this was 2 months ago. They're still waiting on insurance to fix her building. She's in there grooming, but like there's no insulation. We're in Ohio. So like, yeah, there's like no insulation on one wall, and they haven't even begun to fix the repair, like any of it.
Okay. Here's another tip. Read your lease.
Mm-hmm.
Know what you are responsible for. Okay. I guarantee you it is spelled out really clear in the lease. Okay. I had a friend in Vegas who didn't realize she was responsible for the AC on top of her building until it crapped out.
Yep.
And she had not maintained it like she was supposed to, according to the lease. And she was on the hook for a new building AC for her shop.
Yep. Yeah, I want to say my last lease, anything inside we were responsible for. Yeah. So that was everything, hot water tank, any of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, read your paperwork. And I know when we get the insurance packet once a year with our coverage, it's like this thick, and eyes just want to glaze over, and it is not, I guarantee you, it is not ADHD. It's not. It is 100+ pages of insurance talk. And I know when I start rereading the same page 5 times, it's time to put it down, go do something else, and come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't understood a single thing that it said. And they do the definition of terms.
Right.
Whatever.
It does not help. Well, and in your book, it also has in there, like, and obviously we talk a lot to people who have employees or adding employees. Do your employees, like, I'm so big on handbooks and policies and procedures. Do your employees know what to do if a dog collapses on your table?
Yep. Policies and standard operating procedures. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is actually a separate manual. Okay.
Yes, it is.
Which it is. All right. So this particular one, it has, so let me just, all right. Getting back to the employees, right? Team responsibilities. So remember when I said you need to know who is not going to help you. You need to know who's going to take responsibility for what. Okay, whether it's an office manager, also schedule training for this. There's a lot. It isn't just this class you should be taking. Okay, there's other classes. You need to take a pet CPR, a human CPR class. Okay, I highly recommend the CERT training, Community Emergency Response Team training. I would require. I mean, it's 20 hours. So for employees, I would probably recommend, hey, for your own, you should do this. But for like a manager, mm-hmm. I would require them to take this. It's 20 hours of their time. It is probably the best 20 hours they're going to spend. All right.
Right.
I have specific how to handle an evacuation, how to handle a shelter in place, what supplies you need for all of this, where are your critical items, what is critical in your business, and you need to know where it is. Okay, so again, do you have a lockbox that has paperwork in there? Do you have something on the cloud? Who has access to all of this?
Right. Okay.
There should be somebody trusted that you do, and if you don't have somebody trusted, that's your responsibility then. Right. I have a friend who she has employees, and for the week, I forget which week she takes, but she takes 1 week a year and she shuts down. That is one of their weeks of their vacation. They're paid for it, but there's nothing there. She's going on vacation. Mm-hmm. She wants no responsibility for any of the people or any of the pets in her business.
Sometimes I feel that.
Okay. But she also, if she had a manager, that might take that, be a way around it, but she didn't want to do that.
Correct.
That's her business.
Yep.
At the end of the day, business owners, you're the ones who are responsible for this. Okay.
Are you done on that note? Because actually you just said that, and I want to discuss with you because I don't think we've ever had this discussion about something that I keep seeing pop up on Facebook.
Go ahead.
So after going to the boarding and daycare show, to do my research, I joined a few boarding and daycare groups. And we're talking about business owners taking responsibilities. And I know I have some boarding and daycare people here. I keep seeing that in their contracts for their customers, that if their dog bites someone or if there's a problem, that the owners are responsible to pay for that bill. So the fact that the owners aren't taking ownership of the dogs in their care. And that is like, it keeps being brought up on Facebook. I don't know if you're in any of those groups, but it is amazing me because that's the whole point of owners. Like, that's part of your business, and having a daycare facility is having that control. But they're trying to like get the owners to pay for the vet bills that their dog bit another dog in their care.
Okay.
Isn't that interesting? Like, I didn't even think that was a thing.
I mean, I can understand from a business owner liability that they want to protect themselves, but at the same time, this is the product that they are offering.
Yeah.
All right, is doggy daycare.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if they're offering a product, what's their product liability then? Am I making sense?
Yeah, right. Like, it makes sense to me. They're in their care, and a dog may have done it to somebody else, but like, the owner had no say in how that dog was being handled because they weren't physically there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My guess is I would hope, okay, that they've run those contracts through a business attorney in their state. Because what it really comes down, laws from state to state to state are going to be different. And a business lawyer, I mean, I have some forms in here too, as far as, I believe I have forms in here. Let me see if I can find it. We have first aid supplies. Oh, also here, location of hazardous materials. Do you know what products in your facility are actually hazardous, and you should know where they are? So that's in here. I don't think I have forms in this here. Let me just run through it. I have all the possible, I'm not going to say all because you can't possibly have all the things. But what to do, like tornadoes, water loss, hurricanes, medical events, heat, flood. I'm just flipping through the pages. I do have some prepared statements, cyber attack, dog attack. And then we have initial debriefing. So I actually want to cover that. Check-in procedures, intake, not actual forms in here. That's actually a different class. Okay. But the one form I have in here regarding emergency disaster, real print, all forms, okay? You should run them by a business attorney in your state. Okay. A debriefing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We work with live animals. Things happen.
Correct.
Okay. All right. They zig, we zag. We should understand what happened. All right. So after every incident, there is, in law enforcement and first aid and first responders, they do a debriefing. So they go over what they did, how it happened, yada, yada, yada. So everything, while it's still fresh in their mind, is hashed out. So if something happens, there should be a couple of debriefings. There should be one fairly quickly. What happened, how it happened, what did you do, what could you have done better? Okay. What was the outcome? And then maybe a week or two later, do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And even for something as simple as someone nicked a pad, okay, that shouldn't, and the debriefing should not just be with the person who did it. It should be the entire crew.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and it's not meant to put that person on the spot. It's meant to understand what happened, so that this person did it today, this person doesn't do it tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, and when you open it up to your whole staff, when we are transparent, or even a peer or another, someone in your tribe that you talk to, like I have a lot of different business owners that I'm friends with, and we run things by. We always learn from each other because we don't think of certain things, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, how about this? Or maybe you should do this. And when we're in the moment and caught up in our own business, we don't think of those things necessarily. So I love, that running it by other people, because I learned so much from that.
Network. And here's the thing. You know what? Yes, putting this together is time consuming. Okay. But what if you sat down with the other businesses in your area, all right, and worked on it together? Because everyone's going to have a little bit different perspective. Maybe something they thought of that you didn't think of, or you thought of something that they didn't think of. One brain, 2 brains is better than 1 brain. 5 brains is better than 1 brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I love it. I love running things by. I know I've commented on you, or I see Angie's on here. Like I've done to Angie, hey, what do you think about this? Or, we need to hear other feedback too, because we just get lost in our own businesses.
We do. And we get sort of like tunnel vision. So we see just what our business is doing and not looking at what happens outside of it. That's me crossing the Sawmill Parkway. Tunnel vision there is, I never got hit by a car, but maybe someone outside of my circle will think, what are you, stupid?
Right. Like, what are you doing?
What are you doing? So in the same place where I lived, all right? So for those who are from Yonkers, New York, okay, the Odell Avenue Bridge, okay, it goes over the Sawmill Parkway. They actually had to put up fencing on it to keep the stupid teenagers from walking on top of it over the parkway.
See? Troublemakers. There's a reason why they did that.
Now, I personally never did it. My stupidity was simply crossing it on level with the parkway. But I had friends who did that. Okay.
Yes. We want our friends to help us too.
So I could say, what are you, stupid? And they're like, as stupid as crossing the highway. But anyway.
Well, and one of the fun facts, because I can't remember, was it Colorado? It is mandatory. There's certain states that you have to have a disaster plan.
Yes, Colorado was one of them.
What other I'm assuming you know what other states there are.
I have no idea. I just think that it's one of those things, and it might be some OSHA regulations. Okay, OSHA regulations may require you to have an evacuation and shelter in place for your employees. Don't care about the animals. All right. So look at the OSHA responsibilities in your state too. So it may not just be pet businesses, and maybe all businesses in that particular state have to have some sort of emergency and disaster plan for their employees.
No, I found that really interesting. I'm like, I think every state should have that, but I understand, that's great that they have it.
Yeah.
So this now goes into present time. So that was all the past stuff that you did this past year. And now you have a live every 2 weeks, and you're teaching your class. So what do you have going on now to further this for everybody?
All right. So Women Petpreneurs, the podcast, I've rebranded it. And it's not that I will still do like episodes for Women Petpreneurs, but predominantly it is now Women Petpreneurs Presents Family Readiness. Okay. And it's a weekly live stream, which for people who know me about, working smarter, not harder. So we take the weekly live stream and we upload it as a podcast as well.
I stole that from you.
Yes.
This will be a podcast now too in 2 weeks.
There we go. You know what? You created the content for it.
Exactly. I love that idea. Well, I like
Right?
that it hits more people though too.
It hits more people. So people who are not necessarily watching the live stream may then see it instead. Either it's going directly to YouTube and as well as onto all of the platforms for a podcast. So Family Readiness has a Facebook page and a Facebook group, and we will be streaming live into Family Readiness as soon as Facebook allows us to do it, because there is a time from the time the page and group is set up till that they will let Restream, which is what I use also, stream into it. That's 60 days. So I think probably mid-January or so. I have to look at the creation date on it.
Okay.
I am trying to get these emergency disaster planning class into as many trade shows as I can. Okay. Periodically, in fact, Angie's on right here. One of these summits for positive educational training will have that class online. Angie, if you do you know what month that is? I'll wait for her to respond. But she's going to do a safety summit and emergency and disaster planning is going to be that. Plus, I'm also going to do a couple other classes on top of it. And I don't ask me because they're done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're put to the side, not to be thought of until I need them again. Okay.
Right.
But so that's coming up. What else? Books. Buy the books. Angie doesn't have it off on the top of her head. The list is in her office.
I'll make sure to share it when she has it. Don't worry. I'll make sure everyone knows.
So the books, all right, you can get this book. You can get, I'm not sure if it's ready on PetEdge just yet, but they are getting it. Okay. You can get it off of Amazon. You can go directly to the website, positiveed.com/books. Now, here's the thing. When you buy the book directly from me, Kate get most of the money.
Correct.
When you buy it from PetEdge or Amazon, they get more of the money.
Right.
Just saying, I still want you to buy the book however you want to buy the book.
Correct.
Okay. If you want this copy of it, I probably have about 10, maybe 15 of these left. They will be at the Tacoma show.
Good to know.
Okay. I may sell refills. All right. So
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I may sell it as sort of like a download. And then you could just put the holes in it yourself. So that's probably going to be on my list to sell it that way as well.
I like that you can copy the pages and add more if you need more, or if you think of something. I like the binder.
That's why I like the binder so much, but it's not, they're big. It's hard to get, it's hard to get them to a trade show.
Yeah.
To ship them is really expensive. Okay. They probably cost me 4 times as much to do it that way as it is to do it the bound. So we'll see. It's on my many lists of things to do.
I know those lists.
Yes.
I know those lists. Now, will you plan on having on Positive Ed or something, like an on-demand version? Like putting it on there, or just seeing what it does for the year?
Well, we might do that after I won't do it before the summit.
Correct.
Okay. So maybe possibly towards the end of the year. I'm not certain on that yet.
Okay.
It's one of those classes where I think it's better live than it is recorded.
Makes sense.
Okay. So I probably will hesitate on that and, do it live somewhere. Even if it's live online, it's just, I'm there. I can answer questions that might be more specific to what it is you have. If it's recorded, you have questions you may not think that, oh, let me ask, or you think you're going to ask, and
Right.
life
No.
takes over.
Yes. Nope, I get that. I understand. Well, that's awesome. I don't know if I have any more questions. Do you have anything else to add on that? Or anything you want to add about it?
No, I think it's just, I think this is an important class. And I think that trade shows, just like they should be having hands-on pet first aid classes, they ought to be holding this class as well.
Well, I'm hoping to hit it at one of the two that I know that I'll be at too.
Okay.
I'll have to see. Pasadena, it's all day Friday, correct?
It's all day Friday. What are you teaching on Friday?
Nothing. I think I get in Friday morning, but I think I can hit it. So,
Okay.
yeah, no, maybe I could do that. I teach Saturday, Sunday.
Okay. Yeah. So class starts 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I get in early. I think I have like a 5 o'clock flight. I think I get in at 7.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Grab something to eat and head over. Bring your binder.
Exactly.
If you have already purchased the binders or the book, bring it to class.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Fill out, because there will be a handout for the class, but it's more for taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not for filling this out. All right. Pet Edge will have them.
Oh, that's awesome.
They will have them by Pasadena.
I love it. Well, I'll be there. Don't worry.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mary, for joining me.
You're welcome.
Everyone, if whoever is listening or is watching, Mary is very easy to get a hold of. We can find her. You have your Facebook groups, Positive Ed, all of those. I'll put some into the chat as well on how to get a hold of you.
All right. I am really easy to find on Facebook. Okay. The group I am in is Pet Groomer Town Hall. You can message me. It's probably best that if you are in any of the groups and you have a question, just tag me. I'm in a lot of the groups.
I'm going to put Pet Groomer Town Hall in there. Did you want anything else in here as I'm typing into the chats to get a hold of you?
I'm not fussy with my friends.
Okay.
I'm very
Go find her.
I will only tell you that unless you're a Nigerian prince, a retired army general, divorced doctor surgeon, probably going to pass you by on those. Okay. And as long as it's a real profile, I'm probably going to accept your friend request. I will check out the profiles. And if I think it looks scammy, I'm not going to. But,
No, that's awesome. Thank you, Mary. And you have a good day. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't know with who, but we'll be popping on and doing this again. So thank you, Mary, for joining.
Oh, thank you.